Hey everyone! Hey! It's been a while, hasn't it? We've had some developments in the ministry, some changes that I'm excited about, and we'll be making announcements on that very soon. But anyway, it's been a while, and I wanted to reach out to you because, there's a gentleman who came after me pretty hard with regard to a webcast I did where I talked about my experiences sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ at Mormon churches. This guy, I feel kind of bad for him. It's as he went through his response, he didn't really focus on responding with doctrine or with scripture or with truth. But in fact, what he did instead is he wanted to attach labels to me, labels that I would never attach to myself, labels that in some cases are actually offensive to me. They are not how I identify. Now, I'm not crazy enough to say we can be whatever we identify as. I mean, that's taken on a whole craziness in our society. But there are certain Christian traits, Christian ideologies that I don't attach to myself. And yet he attached several of these to me. His video was a series of backhanded slaps. He talked as if he knew me so well, and yet we've never met. And he talked very derogatorily of my intelligence, my character, my stability, my understanding. He left no rock unturned. And then he called me a swine. The natural man, the fleshy part of me, wants to reach out and slap him back. But as time passes and I start living in this new body, this new creation that God made me, when Christ became my all in all, when I accepted Christ, when I was filled with Christ. You see, 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, it says very clearly that I will be made a new creature in Christ. That the angry part of me that needs vengeance or retribution or an accounting, that part has died. And so Romans 12:17 and 19 tells us, don't go returning evil for evil. If someone slaps you around a little bit, take it. If someone attacks your character, your understanding, your knowledge, take it. And be grateful to God that he has made you new. And I am grateful for that. And so to this latter-day lion, I won't respond to any of your insults. I won't return evil for evil. I want to return good for evil. And that's what I'm going to attempt to do. But there was one part, actually two parts of his video that I thought were worthy of a response. And so I want to take care of that now. First of all, in my video, I had mentioned something about the Mormon church having a demand for certain, to keep certain principles and ordinances, as their article of faith says, that they're saved by keeping laws and ordinances of that Mormon gospel, whatever that is. And so I talked about that and talked about becoming a god according to Mormon traditions and Mormon theology. But all of these things that they must do in order that they can become exalted, and let's be clear about this, to be exalted means that you become a god. So all the things necessary for them to become perfected to the degree that they will become a god, be raised up in status, made equal to Jesus, made equal to the Father.
You know, for someone who claims to have a combined 100 years in Mormonism with his wife, Lance's misunderstanding of the biblical principle of exaltation is kind of hilarious. In fact, he should know better. He should know that the doctrine of exaltation isn't about becoming some cosmic deity lording over your own planet like some kind of celestial HOA president.
He denied the fact that the Mormon Church teaches that its valiant people can become gods, and even gods who will create and people their own worlds. And so I want to take a few minutes and address that. But first, I want to talk about what I would call snapshot Mormonism. You see, in Christianity, from the creation until this very moment, from the creation through Revelation, through the tribulation, through the coming of Christ, there is an ongoing continuum, a unity. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and we see him in the Bible. And so there is this unity that I find fascinating. But Mormonism is not that way. You see, Mormonism is a snapshot because it changes so much and it changes so often that the only Mormonism any Mormon can comprehend are the snapshots, the instances in time that person can comprehend. Bang, I understand this. Bang, I understand that. Bang, I understand that. But what about the bangs that happened before you were born? You see, you don't have any comprehension of those snapshots. And this Latter-day Lion, he is a snapshot Mormon. So he denies the HOA God, the God who creates in people's worlds. Well, let's have a look. In the King Follett Discourse, which is also recorded in the history of the church, and it has been also published in several of the church magazines, it said, God himself was once as we are now, and is an exalted man, and sits enthroned in yonder heavens. We should understand the character and the being of God and how he came to be so. For I am going to tell you how he came to be God. And he went on to say that you must learn to be a God yourself. Joseph Smith said, these are incomprehensible ideas to some, but they are simple. It is the first principle of the gospel to know for a certainty the character of God and to know that we may converse with him as one man converses with another. And then he says, and I will show it to you in the Bible. He said he would. He never did. What about Spencer Kimball? In a conference report, October 1968, we, speaking of the faithful Mormons, shall need all the accumulated secular knowledge in order to create worlds and furnish them. Oh, he went on to say, this is found in something, a talk called A Matter of Marriage. It was an address delivered at the University of Utah Institute of Religion in 1976. Each one of you has within you the realm of the possibility to develop a kingdom over which you will preside. As its king and God, you will need to develop yourself and grow in ability and power and worthiness to govern such a world with all of its people. What's interesting about these two statements from Spencer Kimball is that they did appear in several different LDS manuals. Chapter 4, Teaching Children, from 4 to 11, A Parent's Guide. This quote appears saying that men can become a god and people their own worlds. Chapter 10, this is a manual for college students. It's called Doctrines of the Gospel, Student Manual. And in the teachings of Spencer W. Kimball, all of these teach what this Latter-day Lion, this snapshot Mormon, denies because he didn't live it. What about Henry Eyring? He did several things. One of them was as late as 2001. He quoted Spencer Kimball. He did it also in the Church News and also in the October 2002 Ensign. And what about the Apostle Richard Scott? He also, not very long ago, quoted Spencer Kimball about our ability to become gods, to create worlds and people them. Let's keep going. Now this is Eyring. So we may one day create worlds and people and govern them. Eyring put this in a church in the teachings of the prophet Joseph Smith. Spencer Kimball said, where was this? This was November 1975. Doctrine and Covenants Institute Student Manual. Brethren, 225,000 of you are here tonight. I suppose 225,000 of you may become gods. There seems to be plenty of space out there in the universe, and the Lord has proved that He knows how to do it. I think He could make it, or probably have us help Him make worlds for all of us, for every one of us, 225,000. Ooh, this also appeared in the Ensign, in the conference edition, November 1975. What about the 10th prophet of the church, Joseph Fielding Smith? He had some things to say, and they're a little bit interesting. He talked about our seeds continuing forever and forever and forever, and that we will have the opportunity of building worlds and peopling them. That's Joseph Fielding Smith in a conference talk called Adam's Role in Bringing Us Mortality. General Conference, 1976, reprinted in the Liahona, 2006. So not only did he say the words, but the church supported them and published them again. He also said, there is no end to this development. It will go on forever. We will become gods and have jurisdiction over worlds, and these worlds will be peopled by our own offspring. Joseph Fielding Smith, Doctrines of Salvation, Volume 2, page 48. It's also quoted in Achieving a Celestial Marriage Student Manual of 1976 on page 132. What about the fifth president of the church, Lorenzo Snow? He said, in a manual called Presidents of the Church Student Manual, Religion of 2004, under the subheading, They Shall Organize Worlds and Rule Over Them. So Lorenzo Snow was with a brother Brimhall at Brigham Young University, and they saw small children with clay, and they watched a young girl take this clay and form it into a ball. And then this is what he said. He said, turning to Brother Brimhall, President Snow said, Brother Brimhall, these children are now at play making mud worlds. The time will come when some of these boys, through their faithfulness to the gospel, will progress and develop in knowledge, intelligence, and power in future eternities until they shall be able to go out into space where there is unorganized matter and call together the necessary elements through their knowledge and control over the laws and powers of nature to organize matter into worlds on which their posterity may dwell and over which they shall rule as gods. That was in the Improvement Era, 1919, on pages 658 and 59. He also said, He has promised, until we shall sit upon thrones governing and controlling our posterity from eternity to eternity and increasing eternally. That's in the Millennial Star, 1894. He also said, this same Lorenzo Snow, what else could man wish? A man and a woman in the other life having celestial bodies free from sickness and disease, glorified and beautified beyond description, standing in the midst of their posterity, governing and controlling them, administrating life, exaltation, and glory, worlds without end. That appeared in the Deseret News. That's the Salt Lake newspaper, the Deseret News, 1898. It was quoted by Spencer Kimball in The Miracle of Forgiveness in 1969. See also Lesson 10 of the Latter-day Saint Woman, Basic Manual for Women, Part A. What about Brigham Young? All those who are counted worthy to be exalted and to become gods, even the sons of God, will go forth and have earths and worlds like those who framed this, and millions on millions of others. That's in the Journal of Discourses, Volume 17, page 143. Brigham Young also said, they go from glory to glory, from power to power. They will never cease to increase and to multiply worlds without end. When they receive their crowns and their dominion, they will be prepared to frame earths like unto ours, and to people them in the same manner as we have been brought forth by our parents, by our Father and God. Discourses of Brigham Young, page 283. Also in the Journal of Discourses, volume 18, 259. Orson Pratt. What about old Orson Pratt? Man, he was a wily old bugger, wasn't he? Orson Pratt, what did he have to say? It says, each God through his wife or wives, let's keep polygamy in it, each God through his wife or wives raises up a numerous family of sons and daughters. Indeed, there will be no end to the increase in his own children. For each father and mother will be in condition to multiply forever and ever, as soon as each God has begotten many millions of male and female spirits, his heavenly inheritance becomes too small to comfortably accommodate his great family. He, in connection with his sons, organizes new worlds after a similar order to the one which we now inhabit, where he sends both his male and female spirits to inhabit tabernacles of flesh and bones. Thus, each God forms a world for the accommodation of his own sons and daughters. That was in the Seer, page 37, March 1853. The Apostle Moses Thatcher. Throughout the endless ages of eternity, the souls of the children of men, to the honor and glory of God, and create and have dominion over worlds. Moses Thatcher, Journal of Discourses, volume 26, page 305. We get the same crap from L. Tom Perry, from Bruce McConkie. Bruce was the gift that kept on giving. I miss him. Everything he said could be contradicted within a year or two, just with a little bit of logic. Now, what about LDS manuals? Gospel Fundamentals, published in 2001, page 201. They will even be able to have spirit children and make new worlds for them to live on and do all the things our Father in heaven has done. Principles of the Gospel, published in 1976, talks about our continuation as a family in eternity and having the power to populate other worlds as our Father did this one. You see, this Latter-day Lion, he's a snapshot Mormon. Bang! He only sees the Mormonism that he experienced. Let's look at some other topics that we'll just talk about real quickly. How many times did you, Latter-day Lion, do this in the temple? Because I did it a lot. How many times did you do this? Opening your chest, exposing your heart, or opening your stomach and spilling your bowels as a promise to keep the horrible secrets and covenants that you made in the temple. How many times did you do that? You see, I look at you and I think, he's too young. He's too young to have ever experienced that. So your snapshot of Mormonism is not my snapshot of Mormonism. And in the temple, my snapshot of Mormonism is not the snapshot of my grandparents, because they went in there wearing full length from their ankles to the wrists garments. I wear them from the knee to the bicep. But now you get to have tank top garments. That's your snapshot. What about my parents or my grandparents and my great-grandparents? They swore a covenant, an oath in the temple to seek and get vengeance against those that killed Joseph Smith, Hiram, and against the United States government. That was theirs, not yours. You see, Mormonism is built on shifting sands, and your snapshot is the only Mormonism you will ever comprehend because you never experienced mine. What about blacks? What about blacks receiving temple ordinances? What about blacks receiving the priesthood? You see, in my in teachers' quorum when I was just a young boy. I remember sitting there and being instructed by my instructor. He told me how awful and worthless and useless and pitiful the ne'er-do-well black people were in the pre-existence, because it was taught by our church leaders. He taught me to be prejudiced. He taught me to hate my black brothers and sisters. And because of that indoctrination, I did, until God saved me 8 years ago. That is my snapshot. And I bet you, Latter-day Lion, that you never experienced it. Wow. You know, there's so many different ways that we can go with this. But this Latter-day Lion invited me to come and debate with him. Have a look. I asked him, do you follow Jesus? He said, I do. I said, great. Will you come to church with me this coming Sunday? Come to the Sunday school hour where we study the Bible, then sit through church. And I will hear any of your questions, your concerns, your comments. And as long as you remain peaceful and respectful, we can discuss them all at length. Will you come? Nope, was the answer.
I'll actually offer Lance a similar invitation here. I regularly host TikTok lives talking about these very things from a Latter-day Saint perspective. And I really only have 2 ground rules for those that come on. First is one subject at a time. Second is no interrupting. The only 2 exceptions to that would be correcting presuppositions the other person made, and if the other person is making an attempt to bring in more than one subject at a time. Heck, it doesn't even need to be on TikTok. We can each broadcast it on our own YouTube channels. What do you say, Lance?
You see, the first thing he did was he said he's going to offer an invitation similar to the one that I offer the Mormon people. But I say that they must come with respect. They must come in courtesy. They must not come as the Latter-day Lion did, with a 30-minute string of attacks where he did everything he could to demean and degrade my character. You see, no, he doesn't qualify. Number 2, and this is important, he is a snapshot Mormon. He can only answer my objections to Mormonism based on his snapshot. He cannot answer for the church. And so I have no interest in him other than I hope for his salvation. But if he can arrange it so that I can meet with and interview a general authority, I am all over it. I want someone who can answer for the church from Joseph Smith until this very hour. I only have interest in that. I have no interest at all in some kind of a public debate with an angry, offensive snapshot Mormon. No, but I would be happy to do so with any general authority. Now, the problem is they won't do it. You know, I think about it. Russell Marion Nelson, I interview you for and in behalf of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is dead. Hey, you have a great day, a great week. I'll see you later.